Hey everybody, welcome back to another week of distance learning. This one's going to be fun. We're going to be getting into the concept of satire, and you'll be making some original satire as we finish up this distance learning experience. Let's jump right into it with what we're going to be doing this week. So, here we go. We're going to be using satire this week to make a convincing emotional argument and capture the attention of an audience. So satire, as you'll learn, should be and typically is funny, but if it stops at being funny, it's not doing its job. It needs to make an argument and get people to pay attention and make a change. So that's what we're going to try to figure out how to do. Today, you should be looking at the assignments for the week. The shifting the frame photo is due Thursday. You'll be recording a discussion and a discussion response video on Flipgrid today. And then this week and next, we'll be making satire. Before we jump fully into satire, there's one concept you need to understand, and that is the idea of an echo as it relates to media. So this is for a quiz question, but an echo is essentially about the idea of, with the advent of video sharing online, most of the time an event makes more of an impact after it's happened than when it happens. So let's think about a pep fest, for example. If a pep fest happens at Buffalo High School, perhaps 2,000 people see the events of the pep fest. This is a school that's a similar size to Buffalo High School, and this is a pep fest that they had. So 2,000 people saw that and were delighted by that moment. But what's even crazier about that is that as you look at it here, over 2 million people have seen that on YouTube. So the echo of the event, what happened after the event, becomes more important than the event itself. You've all seen it in your own lives. When a great thing happens on a sporting event, you expect to see it later. When an embarrassing thing happens on a reality TV show, you go to YouTube the next day. But imagine a time, like ask your parents about it, when something happened and if you weren't there to see it, you missed it forever. Now we have an echo so that an event can happen and you can see it. Typically that's a good thing, but let's look at a different pep fest. This one actually did happen at Buffalo High School. So an echo is after an event happens, there's an echo. More people see events on YouTube and Facebook or Instagram than saw it live. And that can be a good thing when it's funny or great or life-changing, but it can also be a bad thing. So we're going to look at this event at Buffalo High School. Class of 2014, there used to be a tradition where homecoming court would dance and have a dance-off. Notice this has 88,000 views. So typical pep fest back here, we see about 2,000 people see it. Now these 88,000 people, what they don't have, and now it's up to about 100,000 people, what they don't have is context. They don't know the tradition. They don't know who the people are in the video. They could be high school aged, but probably not. They could be really old. They could be traditional people. So you don't have any control about who sees the echo. And that was a problem for this moment in our school's history. So the homecoming dance happened. It's usually a pretty innocent thing, guys versus girls. And then the girls did their dance. And then the boys had a chance to do their dance. And it went something a little bit like this. And I'm going to fast forward. And see what we can do with this. Okay, so we see that he's dressed inappropriately, we'll say, for school. And they start dancing. We get the yearbook photographers there so you can see the pictures later. They start dancing and then something about the dance changes, we'll say. I'll stop it here. You guys get the picture. Now, the school went kind of crazy about this. Everyone had a great time with it. The girls actually won the dance contest, and everyone went home that night and thought it was funny. But because someone recorded it and put it on YouTube, then it got out into the community, and people without context could see that event, and it had a different meaning. If you had no idea about the tradition or the people or the fact that the dance moves were mostly funny, that could have seemed kind of scary or frightening or weird or sexual. And that's the event people saw. They saw the echo, they didn't see the event. So you need to keep that in mind as we go into these ideas of satire and into this idea of media next. So now in 2020, more people experience an echo than the original event, but the echo does not have the original event's impact or context. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, we're going to move into satire now, and these events will make sense very soon. So we're going to look at satire and sincerity as speaking truth to power. Satire and journalism go together right now, and we're going to look at that because look at this. Let's look at trust. 6% of people say they trust the media. This was in April of 2016. That was before the age of fake news. That was before Donald Trump was elected. 6% of people trusted the media back then. A majority of people got their news from social media and from Facebook. And oh my gosh, have you seen Facebook lately with the COVID-19 stuff? There's misinformation and junk science everywhere, and people don't trust it. 12% of Facebook users say they trust the news they get there, and only 18% of Twitter users say that they trust what they see there. So trust is something we desperately need and we sorely lack when it comes to news coverage. Americans believe that the news media has become too arrogant, cynical, and scandal-minded and destructive. We don't like news. So along comes a show called The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, but before that was Jon Stewart. And they take a different look and feel of the news. Here's what you need to understand about this guy, Trevor Noah, and before him, Jon Stewart. They speak in a way that's directly to us, that sounds like us, that say what we might be thinking. They look like news anchors, but they don't sound like news anchors. Let's take a look at a few minutes from a clip of The Daily Show and pay attention to the idea of trust. Does this guy seem like a guy you can trust?
Today was a very bad day for President Trump. Not only was his favorite comedian found guilty, but then the man he picked for Veterans Affairs was forced to withdraw from consideration. And on top of all of that, Trump's 23andMe results came back and they confirmed that he's 50% Eric. So, Trump did what everyone does when they're feeling down. He called into a Fox News morning show, and it was honestly epic. Because normally, when Trump has a bad day, we know Trump watches Fox and Friends and yells at the TV. But today, he did the same thing, but we all got to listen in. And you could tell from the start that this was going to be special.
Thank you so much for being with us, Mr. President.
Well, good morning, and I picked a very, very special day because it's Melania's birthday. So I said, let's do it on Melania's birthday. So happy birthday to Melania.
All right, hopefully there'll be visits in between, but have you decided on, or do you want to tell us what you got her?
Well, I better not get into that because I may get in trouble. Maybe I didn't get her so much. I'll tell you what, she has done. I got her a beautiful card.
How did Trump mess up the world's easiest question? It's like they threw him a softball and he swung and hit himself in the dick. And I mean, it's her birthday. I can't believe that Donald didn't get Melania anything for her birthday. Now she might think he's not a very good husband. Also, I would pay anything to know what he wrote inside that card that he definitely didn't actually get. Like, roses are red, love is a mystery, I had a historic electoral college victory. Why did Trump say he called into Fox and Friends? Because it was Melania's birthday. Like, what does that mean? He's like, honey, I've got a great celebration planned for us today. I'm gonna talk to some TV people while sitting on the toilet. Like, oh, thank you, Donald. My life is a beautiful dream. Okay, so the interview didn't get off to a great start, but then it got worse.
I get along with Kanye. I get along with a lot of people, frankly. But Kanye looks and he sees black unemployment at the lowest it's been in the history of our country.
Have Republicans done a bad job ignoring the black community up until now?
You know, I think it was just a custom. People don't realize, you know, if you go back to the Civil War, it was the Republicans that really did the thing. Lincoln was a Republican.
Republicans did the thing? Trump would make a dope history teacher. It would be so easy to pass. Class, what was the turning point in the Civil War? The thing? A+. Like, he's the first sober person I've heard doing drunk history. That's amazing.
Okay, so I'll stop it there. There's more. We can watch that later if you guys want to. You can find it online. But he kind of sounds like he's talking to you, and he's talking on behalf of you, and he's your voice. Yeah, he's poking some fun at this, but he's genuinely amused, and it comes across in his delivery. He doesn't look like the news that people hate, and so they start to trust his voice, even though he's poking fun at the news coverage in general. So let's pay attention to that. Great satire is sincere, and it speaks truth to power. So we have to think about the Shakespearean concept of the wise fool. Why can funny people get away with saying such offensive things? Why can a funny person get away with poking fun at the president? This goes back to court jesters from olden times. Court jesters would make fun of people in power to their faces in order to keep them grounded. Or because it's a joke, they could get away with saying things. Because if a king or a ruler would get upset at their court jester for making a joke, it would prove that they're not a very good person. And so the court jesters could slip in the truth about the world and about the situation in a kingdom or a government. So we can have our crazy relatives insult us at the Thanksgiving table and they get away with it because they're crazy. Or we can have people like Dave Chappelle make terribly offensive jokes, but he gets away with it because he's funny. So you've got to have some sincerity and some truth hidden in your humor, and it has to be able to speak truth to powerful people. That's the role of someone like Trevor Noah. He's the wise fool. He is speaking truth to power, and he's making it funny. So what is satire? Satire combines humor, irony, and exaggeration to get an audience to pay attention and see their groups or their own shortcomings, vices, or patterns of behavior. It gets them to look at their own life in a different way. It exposes vices and foolishness in people. If you went around trying to call other people foolish or make fun of people and show them why they're foolish or they have bad habits, you wouldn't be liked. But if you use humor in it, you can get away with it. If you sneak the message into so they don't know about their vice until they see it for themselves, you can do it well. So it's a combination of humor, irony, sarcasm to get an emotional reaction from an audience. You're laughing, but you're also asking questions and you're also seeing things differently. And satire does not just make a joke, and it never makes fun of people as its main point. The main point of satire is to create change, create political and social change. So great satire does that. Take a look at this. This is the last example we'll look at for today, and it's using satire to make a point about the way people use technology.
Tech Trends, brought to you by Starbucks Double Shot.
A new study released today found that technology has made it easier for mankind to get more annoyed than ever. The American Psychological Association found that the prevalence of technology in our everyday lives has nearly doubled our ability to get frustrated by the slightest inconvenience, like losing service on your cell phone or having to install new updates on your laptop for the third time this week.
The frustrations are constant. Pointless Facebook messages from your aunt, endless push notifications, Word documents unexpectedly quitting. Honestly, we could reach a constant state of annoyance within the next generation.
Next up, never-before-seen journals from deceased Apple CEO Steve Jobs reveal that he didn't think his job was all that hard.
Okay, so now we've got to look at technology, which we all say is amazing. It's the reason we're doing distance learning, and we spend a ton of money and time with it. And it's looking at that reversal, that hard truth about technology, that it is darn annoying, that it's a big waste of time, that it's frustrating, that it's a lot of trash and garbage. It's not the praise that we typically give to technology. And it's a good point. So that's the technique called reversal. You present the opposite of what people are used to experiencing. You see tech news, it looks like tech news. You expect it to be about how amazing technology is. And they do say how amazing it is. It's amazing because it lets us be annoyed almost all day long. You know, scrolling through your Instagram feed and being annoyed at people for posting certain things or bragging about their great life, that's not great. So what it does is it makes the audience think about what they consider normal. So you get done watching that video and you say, yeah, why do I spend so much time being annoyed? Yeah, I need to step back from this and realize maybe it's not as great as I think it is. So that's what we've looked at today with this first chunk of satire. It speaks truth to power. It makes us think, and it makes us change. It exposes us to our own follies and our own vices. Tomorrow, we're going to look at the power of sincerity and ask ourselves, what if people actually took Gatorade as seriously as Gatorade presents themselves in advertisements? And so just take a look at these ads and think about, what if life really was as serious and hardcore as a Gatorade ad? And we're going to explore that tomorrow.